What is Metacloud? Metacloud is the infrastructure layer for Web 3.0. Now everybody can see my presentation. What we will talk about today. We will mention the current cloud computing paradigm. We will talk about the shift from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 and why it's so important for Metacloud. We'll talk about our platform in a nutshell. We will also, of course, touch on the key services. We'll also talk about tokenomics and economics of our platform. All right, and I see already a lot of people joining in the chat, so that is very, very nice. Before we talk about Metacloud, we have to talk about its predecessor and why there is a necessity for Metacloud to exist. So the current cloud computing paradigm, it is an integral part of many businesses, particularly small and medium enterprises. Now it has a market value of $260 billion. And what is the goal that cloud computing achieves? Well, cloud computing eliminates the needs of in-house provisioning of computational and storage infrastructure. It offers better utilization of resources. Sorry guys, I just hit the desk a little bit shaky. But of course, the current cloud computing paradigm has certain limitations. A report from RightScale reveals that almost 1/3 of cloud users have difficulties learning on how to interact with a cloud computing platform. In fact, it is estimated that companies overspend beyond 35% of their annual budget on cloud services. Another vital limiting factor, and well, probably the most obvious limitation of the current cloud computing, is that while it offers weak computational power and slow processing speeds, security and trustworthiness are also an issue, which have we seen in the past years with data breaches and whatnot. So, in order for Metacloud to exist, a shift to Web 3.0 has to happen. Now, what is Web 3.0? Now, it sounds like a buzzword, and it really is. There's a lot of hype surrounding Web 3.0, but what is it exactly? Well, it's the next iteration of the internet. So that means that right now we are on Web 2.0. Yes. Well, in the early 90s, when the World Wide Web started becoming popular, it was Web 1.0. And on Web 1.0, all you could do is read and view the contents. Then with the invention of social media, you could start interacting with the web. But the cost of that interaction was you giving your data away for free, and anybody could use it. So the next iteration is Web 3.0. And in Web 3.0, you can do all of the things that you could have done in Web 1 and Web 2, but here you get to rightfully own your data. And how is this achieved? Well, Web 3.0, in the center of Web 3.0 is the decentralization philosophy. Now, a decentralized web is an abstract concept proposing the reorganization of the internet in order to remove centralized data hosting services, which are controlled by tech giants. Instead, the decentralized web will use a peer-to-peer infrastructure. Now, with that in mind, we introduce Metacloud, a decentralized alternative to the existing cloud computing paradigm. Now, Metacloud operates similar to the model employed by Uber and Airbnb, except it targets computing. Now, Metacloud will not bear any of the limitations of the current cloud computing paradigm and will be the cornerstone of Web 3.0 infrastructure. Metacloud and its key services. Now, we will talk about its architecture. We'll talk about proof of computation, which is a very, very important and integral part of Metacloud. We'll also touch on full-fledged outsourced computing and inter-blockchain communications. Now, there are three main components to the Metacloud architecture. That is the resource requester, resource provider, and a broker. So, a resource requester would like to have a computational task completed, but not on their own infrastructure. In turn, the resource provider contributes machine and software in order to complete the set task. Brokers, on the other hand, facilitate machine discovery and load balancing and assist the clients in bootstrapping the computation on resource providers' infrastructure. Now, we at Metacloud make a general and realistic assumptions that these three parties are mutually distrusting. In order to facilitate transactions and exchanges between the three parties, Metacloud provides a payment escrow. And that payment escrow will exist in the shape of a special autonomous smart contract, which I will talk about later in the presentation. Now, in order for Metacloud to not rely on a third party, on a third party to be a payment escrow, it is critical for the platform to fairly and correctly produce the proof of computation. The proof of computation for the resource providers, and develop a mechanism via which requesters can evaluate and make payments on such proof of computation. Now, we go in depth on this mechanism on our white paper, so I invite you to read it for a fuller grasp of the picture. And the white paper is, of course, available on metacloud.ai. Full-fledged outsourced computing. Now, Metacloud has to offer a full-fledged suite of outsourced computation services that are typical to any cloud service provider. Now, these include, but are not limited to, CPU and GPU rental, outsourced storage, and other infrastructure as service. Besides, Metacloud will also offer platform as service and software as service. And of course, the distinguishing factor being security, fairness, and transparency that are achieved through state-of-the-art security and privacy measures. And talking about full-fledged outsourced computing, you can already become an early adopter on our platform. You can already become a resource provider by downloading the app, which is available on the Metacloud website. So we have a PC driver and a mobile app, which is available on Windows, Mac OS, Ubuntu, and the mobile version is, of course, available on iOS and Android. Now, once up and running, the PC driver will receive tasks, execute them, and attain a proof of computation. Now, this proof of computation is convertible to mCloud, the token of Metacloud, which I will talk about more in depth later in the presentation. Now, the amount of this mCloud that is earnable is restricted only by the capacity of the user's hardware. But right now, there have been reports of around 60 mClouds being earned per day, which right now is worth around $4.08. So that is very, very exciting indeed. Inter-blockchain communication. So Metacloud aggregates a large set of independent heterogeneous computing nodes. Each segment of these computing nodes join a different blockchain, observing and or processing data and transactions within that blockchain. As such, Metacloud effectively forges a set of bridges between different otherwise isolated blockchain platforms. Now, one of the key challenges for Metacloud is to make sure that the resource provider gets his pay without relying on a third party. Now, we believe that an ideal solution to mediate fair exchange between requesters' payments and resource providers' work would require trusted metering of the provider's work and a self-enforcing smart contract. Now, trusted metering. It's a method of counting the number of instructions that were executed, meaning that it's a measurement system for the work done on the resource provider's side. Trusted metering enables fair exchange between the two parties, which is one of the parts of attaining the proof of computation. So trusted metering is indeed a safety feature. And I can already see, oh yes, look at that. We have around 1,500 viewers already joining, which is very exciting. So sorry, I'm getting off track over here, but let's continue our presentation. Now, smart contracts, for those who are not in the know, might also seem like this new buzzword that has a lot of hype around it. But actually, Smart contracts were first proposed in 1994 by Nick Szabo, the creator of BitGold in 1998. Basically, a smart contract is a self-executing contract with the terms of the agreement between buyer and seller being directly written into the lines of code. Now, smart contracts deployed on blockchains render transactions traceable, transparent, and irreversible. Since smart contracts exist on a decentralized blockchain, they do not require approval of any central authority, legal system, or an external enforcement mechanism. And I already see a message. I love how we are all benefiting from your apps. Yes, indeed. What I have just mentioned in the presentation, that the early adopters can already earn mCloud. Now, we at Metacloud understand the challenges that we face when it comes to safe and secure transactions. That is why Metacloud adopted the protocol proposed in a research paper presented at the European Symposium Research in Computer Security. The protocol is the smart contract that I'm talking about. Now, it's an extremely technical protocol, so I will omit its details in this presentation, but interested viewers, guys, I encourage you to refer to the original research paper, which is titled Towards a Marketplace for Secure Outsourced Computation. So write that down if you want to remember and know how exactly our protocol works. But in the very essence, the protocol leverages payment channels that allow two parties to transact a large number of micropayments without incurring high transaction fees or overloading the blockchain with transactions. Now, our protocol does not require any communication between the requester and the provider prior to or during the computation, nor an on-chain channel between them. It, however, requires an off-chain communication between the two parties in the final step to basically decrypt the output. Now, probably the most exciting part of this presentation, let's talk about the Metacloud token, mCloud. So, Metacloud's fuel to run is mCloud, a token which inhabits the Binance Smart Chain and adheres to BEP20 standards. Now, you can think of BEP20 as a blueprint for how that defines how a token can be spent, who can spend it, and also other rules of its usage. And also, as I've mentioned previously, you can already earn mCloud through the PC driver or mobile app. Now, the total supply of these tokens is 1.2 billion. For offerings, we have 680 million. The mining pool consists of 320 million mClouds. Bootstrapping and marketing get 100 million, and tech development also gets 100 million. And while we are streaming, today is the 5th of May, and a couple of days ago we already started the pre-sale of our tokens, which lasts from 2nd of May up till the 1st of June, where you can get one mCloud for $0.02. Later on, from the 1st of June to the 1st of July, you will be able to purchase mCloud for $0.03. And from the 1st of July till the 31st of July, you'll be able to purchase the token for $0.045. Now, let's talk about the economics of Metacloud. Bootstrapping our entire platform is indeed a chicken and egg problem. So there has to be value to buyers in order to have more buyers, and a value to sellers to have more sellers. It is indeed a virtuous cycle. So how do companies solve this problem? I'll bring you an example. Uber. How did Uber bring popularity to its platform? Well, Uber gave their drivers a lot of incentives and bonuses for completing milestones. For the riders, Uber gave a ton of discounts. Now, this allowed Uber to build a huge driver and rider base at the same time, of course, at the cost of cash burning. Fortunately, venture capitalists provided large sources of funding. Now, although Metacloud will have a tremendous pool of otherwise dormant computational resources, which creates supply at the same time offering secure and transparent outsourcing to attract large volumes of demand, the reality is that a resource provider opts in only when he sees a healthy and sustainable source of income. So how we will tackle this problem? Metacloud will provide an in-house infrastructure and offer it to the end users at a discounted price to drive up the demand, and at the same time uses dormant computing powers to create supply. To aid this process, Metacloud will purchase hardware and develop proprietary software algorithms that run exclusively on the Metacloud infrastructure, which enables us to offer not only physical computing resources, but also software as service and platform as service. And we believe that that will significantly enrich the supply side. Now, what are the sources of profit for Metacloud? There are three sources of profit. The first one is service fees earned from offering the platform to the resource providers and requesters, with Metacloud being the first broker on the platform. Of course, we will have ads on our platform. Where can you go in our modern world without the ads? And the third source of profit is capitalization of users' data and computing traffic, thanks to the mining algorithms developed by Metacloud, all while preserving privacy of the users. Now, it indeed is looking very good. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attention, my dear viewers.